Hey everyone, my name's Amy and I'm back. I know I've been gone for a little bit from making videos, but it's because a lot of stuff has happened in my life and there's been quite a bit of schoolwork. But I am going to start working on making videos much more consistently now. And today, we're going to be talking about a recent video that was made by a very famous astrophysicist, Neil deGrasse Tyson. And we're going to be talking about animal sentience and speciesism. If at any point you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe. Also, check me out on all of this social media so that you can see daily tips and information about fitness, nutrition, and veganism. Now, let's get started.
So, do you remember all of the concerns people had about tuna being caught by nets?
Right.
And the issue wasn't that tuna were being caught by nets. It was that the nets were trapping
hurting dolphins.
Dolphins.
Right. Because dolphins aren't delicious. And,
no.
And tuna is.
No, that wasn't. Okay, so the argument was, in the net, the tuna can breathe, but the dolphin can't.
Right.
Because a dolphin is an air breather and it doesn't breathe in the water. Right. So you kill the dolphins if the net doesn't come up quickly enough.
Yeah, you drown them.
Okay, and basically they drown. All right. The fact that we're protecting the dolphins but eating the tuna, I remember thinking to myself, why doesn't anybody care about the tuna? Right? It's also a big fish. All right. It had a life in the ocean. And so I realized that we have species bias among us.
So what he's saying here is actually a really good point. It was this very same realization that kind of made me want to go vegetarian in the first place. So I had been pescatarian for a while when I was at college, and I did so for health, but it was only after I literally rescued a tank of fish from being sat outside by a dumpster that I realized that the fish that I was eating actually wasn't any different than the fish that I saved, even though my family tried to convince me otherwise. Bringing this back to the video, this is an idea that people really should be thinking about more. I find that not everybody thinks about where their food actually came from or who it actually was. I've talked with a lot of people who disagree with animal cruelty, yet will happily eat the products of it. Now, he comes to a very different conclusion later in the video than I did.
All right. So we're saying we value the dolphin over no, we're not talking about vegetarians here who would eat neither, but for those who would eat the tuna and specifically not eat the dolphin because it's a mammal. So what you're saying is that in the tree of life, which has fungus and bacteria and plants and animals, you have taken this slender branch in that tree of life called mammals, which is a offshoot from vertebrates, okay? Mm-hmm. So both dolphins and tuna are vertebrates, but dolphins are a spin-off of that called mammals, and they lactate, they give live birth, as do we. So we are saying you are close enough to us that we value your life above other life on this tree of life. And some people said, no, it's not that they're mammals, it's that they have big brains. Their brain is larger than us. Okay, so now we're saying we value them because they have big brains.
So this actually is not a reason why people are advocating for dolphins. Dolphins might have big brains and they might be mammals, but the main reason why people are advocating for them is because they're sentient. Sentient means that they're able to have a conscious experience of life and are able to have emotions and experience suffering. And that's why people are advocating for them. Now, when he's thinking about tuna being similar to those dolphins, he's absolutely correct. Fish have been proven to be sentient as well as dolphins. So I haven't talked about this much on this channel yet, so let's look at a little bit of the research surrounding whether or not fish actually are sentient. So while fish don't necessarily look like us, they are pretty similar to us in that they are sentient. And this can be shown firstly through anatomy. So inside of our brains, we have an area called the limbic system. This area of the brain is actually made up of the hippocampus, the thalamus, the amygdala. The limbic system is an area of our brains that helps us with processing emotions, memory, and helps some with learning, and is also the main area where sensory information goes before being processed in other areas of the cerebral cortex. Fish have a similar area of their brain that also functions in a very similar way, and this can be shown through research. So one type of sensory information that is dealt with by the thalamus before being sent somewhere else in the brain is pain. And researchers have shown that fish actually can feel pain. And according to this article, they have done this by using a study where they put groups of goldfish into two different tanks. One of them is just a tank full of water, and the other one was laced with a pain-killing medication such as morphine. And they found that when they gave the goldfish electric shocks, the fish that were given the morphine actually did not react in the same way as the fish that were not given the morphine, which shows that there is a level of understanding of what pain is. This also has been found with opioids and rainbow trout. Another thing that shows that fish can consciously feel pain, make decisions for themselves, and kind of understand what's going on around them is that they can learn to do different things when given painful stimuli. So research has shown that if you take fish and you condition them to an area by giving them food in that area consistently, you can then turn around and train them to not go there by making them experience some sort of pain. Therefore, this shows that the fish actually want to avoid that sensation of pain, and if they didn't know what pain was, they would probably be swimming everywhere that they could without a discretion. And yet, when trained with that painful stimuli, they avoid the area where that's coming from. Fish have also been shown to experience fear and anxiety. And one of the ways that the researchers have been able to show this is that anti-anxiety drugs actually work on fish. When put in an anxiety-inducing area, fish that were given anti-anxiety drugs actually were much more likely to forage for food in that area versus fish that were not given anti-anxiety drugs. Also, fish can feel stressed, and research has shown that in fish that have social hierarchies, when a subordinate fish is continuously around a much more dominant fish, they'll continue to be stressed out with that fish around, not because the fish is actually actively attacking them all the time, but simply because that fish is there. Another research study that has shown that fish can feel stress is that they've been able to stress condition fish. So there have been studies done that have put fish in repetitive, stressful environments, specifically draining their tank until water just barely covered their bodies. And they found that after a while, the cortisol levels in their bodies decreased even when they were going through that stressful stimuli. Afterward, they compared the stress-trained fish to fish that had not been stress-trained in a variety of challenges and found that the stress-trained fish actually did much better than the fish that had not been stress-trained. This shows that fish do, in fact, feel stress, and it impairs them cognitively. Because of all of this, the researchers of the main article I'm using came to this conclusion at the end. This review of the anatomy, physiology, and behavior of fish suggests that they are more likely to be sentient than not. So yes, the tuna that he's talking about should be considered just like dolphins, but not simply because it's a living creature, but because of all of the reasons I listed before, proving their sentience.
Okay. All right, whatever rules you want to invoke, I just want to make sure people fully understand that every living thing on Earth is as far away from an evolutionary place from the very first single-celled life as is all other life on Earth. Okay, so you're saying, oh, the brain is important for survival. Oak trees are still alive today, and they don't have any brains, okay? And they're doing just fine. Earthworms are doing just fine. And they coexist with us 4.5 billion years after the Earth has formed. So, all I'm saying is that whatever struggles, trials, and tribulations we went through as vertebrate mammals, okay? Whatever we went through, every single other living thing on this Earth has also survived to this point.
So here he is arguing that it's life and not sentience that gives a creature moral value, but he doesn't realize the implications of exactly what he is talking about. And here is a really good example of that.
How about if I just cut the leaves off of plants, but I never take the plant down? I just prune the plant and I eat the parts of the plant. Like if I were to harvest children, but only eat their fingers.
What? No, here it would be. It's you harvest colonies of newts, and you bite off their legs and tails because they'll regrow their legs and tails. They'll grow back.
Right. How about that?
Technically speaking, if he did truly believe what he claims to believe about all life being equal, then what his co-host says either shouldn't be horrifying, or cutting the leaves off of trees should be just as horrifying. And this is because, in his view, all life is the same, including human life, simply because they're alive.
There are things that most of us would just as soon not have, like lethal viruses, like ticks, like mosquitoes, like bacteria, dysentery. These are life forms that we share the earth with. Where is the community of people that's saying, save the ticks, all right? Somehow we're all okay exterminating them, killing them, getting them out of because they carry disease, or not only the ticks, who are the jumpers?
Fleas.
The fleas, okay? The fleas, by all account, carried the bubonic plague. If the world never had another flea, you probably wouldn't miss it. But that meant you would be exterminating a branch of the tree of life, a species in the tree of life, because it's not convenient for you. And so we are about to completely eradicate there's a worm, what's it called? The guinea worm.
Guinea worm.
Which only affects humans, all right? We're about to completely eradicate that. We basically eradicated smallpox, all right? Well, what about the smallpox microbes, all right? How do they feel about this?
Simply put, they don't feel about this. Bacteria and viruses don't have the capacity for sentience and therefore do not understand what is going on. So they don't actually feel anything about being killed or whatever. Also, even if they could understand that, us using hand sanitizer or antibiotics would be considered self-defense anyway, since we are protecting ourselves from infection.
So I'm not landed anywhere. I just think about all of life and all the struggles that life had to go through to get to where it is today in the tree of life, 4.5 billion years after life began.
Wow.
And so when I eat lettuce or cucumber, I'm thinking, like as they say with the Native Americans, I'm thankful to the plant. And in the same way, I'm thankful to the pig or the cow or the, whatever else. These are things that were alive.
Being thankful for your food is wonderful, and I'm thankful to God for my food every time I'm able to eat. In his worldview, a person could be a cannibal using the same logic by just simply being thankful for the human that they're eating, which is a really horrifying thought and is one of the main problems with this sort of a worldview. Also, if he really believed that all life was actually equal the way that he says, then he would probably want to be a vegan anyway, because he wouldn't contribute to as much murder of plants. According to an article from the University of Nebraska, a 1,200-pound cow actually needs to eat about 27 pounds of hay and grass a day, which is much more than any person would be able to eat even if we could eat hay and grass to survive.
Keep in mind, we're kind of stuck killing in order to survive. As primitive as that might be in the galaxy, it's that anything you can digest was once alive, be it plant or animal.
Yes, anything that we can eat has been alive, but given the opportunity, wouldn't you want to pick something that did not have to suffer in order for you to be able to eat them? That's what the choice that vegans have made. We have chosen to choose to eat plants, which do not feel suffering and are not sentient, over animals which are.
So I just think of all life as sacred, and after having done so, I don't value judge one life over another based on its proximity to us on the tree of life, because it's all here and we're all sharing the same earth.
I'm going to reiterate that the main problem with this worldview of all life being equal means that using hand sanitizer and mowing your lawn is the same as mass murder. And we know that that is not the case, because we're able to talk with other people and understand that they can experience life too. And even if we want to deny it, when you're close to your cat or dog or another animal that you've been around, you can tell that they too have some kind of an experience of life with emotions and understand things and make decisions. And with this, it doesn't make sense to keep killing and eating some animals when plants don't have this same idea, and we can all live fully on plants. All right, so if you have any questions for me, any research, want to elaborate on some of the points that I made or combat them even, I would love to be able to chat with you down in the comment section. I really enjoying having conversations with everyone on this channel. Also, I really do hope that you enjoy this video, and I'm going to remind you again that if you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up. And I hope that you always remember to love God, eat greens, and get moving. See you in the next video.